Yo, what's up? I'm QX and Terry. And every day I ask myself, what's the future? I take detailed notes and store them in a journal. Today, I am asking myself, what's the future of generative AI in search? For those that don't know where to find the rest of my notes that are accompanying this video and others, go to everydays.wtf and you'll actually be able to find where all my future thinking notes are currently. It's a new experiment. This is what I've been doing. It's been working well. We're on note 273 and I'm excited. You can tell that I stay in it. Like, I've been on the road, you see in it. Today I'm in a car with it, but that's neither here nor there. So we've all been familiarizing ourselves with generative AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI's ChatGPT. But what we haven't really been preparing ourselves for is the process of, I would say, generative AI meeting the tools and apps that we already have. We've gotten glimpses of it by Microsoft's offerings. Obviously, you have Bing, and that's been integrated with the chat functionality, which is like ChatGPT, but it's the Microsoft variant of it. And then you've got different generative AI features and functionalities that have been added to Google Docs and Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, and a ton of tools. Notion's another good example of this. But those AI functionalities are largely just people saying, hey, this is ChatGPT, this is what it could do. If we were to specialize it, we're gonna just go ahead and figure out our way of making it all work together and going beyond a plugin. I think there's ChatGPT, and there's ChatGPT plugins, and then there's applications that integrate OpenAI's APIs, that's tough to say, by the way, into their application and just skin it, just sell you an upcharge. One of my favorite versions of that actually is Loom's. So Loom is an app that I use to do asynchronous video meetings. So what Loom does is they take AI, generative AI, I'm sure they're getting it from one of these generative AI APIs, but they take the video that you just recorded on their platform, they analyze it, and then they generate the title and the description and any points of action. So it makes sending a Loom video much more efficient, because now I don't even have to add the context. The computer did that. And that's a good example of accelerated computing, if you ask me. Why am I thinking about the future of search and generative AI today? Largely because Google is something that we all use 24/7. And Google in the past was very helpful. You would go on, you would literally pick a topic, let's say Labor Day. I'd search it. I'd probably find 5 different articles to various publications about Labor Day. And in those articles, I would then be able to ascertain different information. Check this out. Today, that's changed a bit. So I'm just gonna type in what is Labor Day. I'm gonna load it up. You can see in real time. Google just loaded. This is all AI. This whole piece, there's no more links on Google. In the future, what they're saying is we'll show you the standard Google, which is what I'm scrolling through now. But right now we want to test this generative AI experiment, which is we're just gonna get you exactly what you need without you even having to click on a link. So let's take a look at what it says. It says Labor Day is a federal holiday in the United States that honors the American labor movement and the contributions of workers to the country's development. It is celebrated on the first Monday in September. If I want more detail, it talks about the origination of the holiday. They also talk about where it is also celebrated, which is in Canada and many other countries. I didn't know that. And then it's also one of the 11 federal banking holidays, so banks will not be open. However, ATMs and online banking services will be available. The US stock market will also be dark. I got that all from the generative AI part of Google. Now, I can ask it a follow-up question. I want to say, why is it a major holiday, or when did it become a major holiday, or give me examples of things to do on Labor Day, or what do people find? And I'm now talking to Google. They're using all of the links that they previously had indexed as source material and references to compile the descriptions. And this is important because this isn't just for general information, right? Let's say I want to say, should I buy a Surface 8 or 9? I'm gonna search that. I'm searching it right now. It's generating. You can see this, and let's see what Google comes up with. So it comes back, and let's see what it says. It says, oh wow, yeah, this is crazy. It says the Surface Pro 8 and the Surface Pro 9 are both 2-in-1 detachable tablets. They have the same size and weight. They use the same accessories. The Surface Pro 9 has a newer processor and a few additional colors. Here's a summary comparison. This came from generative AI. For sure, Microsoft didn't train Google on how to sell its latest computing offerings. That never happened. Let's see, it says, yeah, I can ask Google right now, how long will the Surface Pro 8 be supported? So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that, and it's generating another response. Let's see what it says. It says it will be supported until October 5th, 2025, and it will receive driver and firmware updates until that date. That was fascinating because it was released in September 22nd of 2021. Like, my mind's blown because this is actually useful. You know how long it would have taken me before, if I didn't know anything about either product, to just go on the internet, look at the descriptions of both, watch all the YouTube videos, go through all the content, sift through it, and then make an actual buying decision? That would have taken a long time. I'm still processing because this is what the future looks like. This is what chat interfaces, when they're upgraded and they go beyond places where we have to go to their destination and we have to work on their terms. We're getting to a future where that is just going to be the expectation. The reason why I'm so fascinated by how Google is doing it is because Google's best positioned, I think, as a major company to create what I'm going to, just for this video purposes, call a personal AI. There's a lot of people building personal AIs, and there's no like universal definition just yet, because technically I think Siri could be determined to be, Siri and Alexa are personal AIs to some extent, right? But obviously they're very generic because my Siri and your Siri, or your Alexa and my Alexa, are the exact same. Like, they offer the same results. The accounts differ, so like my iCloud account's different, but the Amazon account might be different. But the actual purpose, which is an assistant of sorts or a voice assistant, it's not going to be much different. With these large language models and these new AIs that we've, like the generative AIs that we're talking to, there can be a difference. And here's that difference. One, you can actually specify different values and parameters on how your AI interacts with you. So if we were just talking in general and we were saying, how would you do that with OpenAI? They have instructions that you can give it. And you can give it new instructions every single time, or you can just give it a set of master instructions and you can say that these are the instructions I need you to follow no matter what. And at that point, your variant of OpenAI's ChatGPT is much different than my variant, because you specified how you want to interact with it. Now let's go a few steps further. Google is in the game. They've been in the game for, let's just say, 28, 29 years now. People have had Google accounts or Gmail accounts now since I think Gmail is like early 2000s. So I think it's like 05. It's 04, 05, somewhere around there. So it's been around, again, we're talking at least almost 2 decades. The thing here is Google has a lot of our information already. They have pretty much all the emails that you've received in the last 2 decades, right? That's in your Gmail. They have all the Google Docs, all the YouTube videos you've watched and or created. They have all of the Google Sheets, all of the Google Photos, all of the information you have on your Android phone, the maps that you've taken, the websites that you visited, the things that you've purchased, because they can see your email inbox. Like, now obviously Google has had access to this, and most people trust Google because that's why they use it. And so we have this trust. But what if Google said, we're going to take all that data and we're going to, if you allow us, we're going to build you your own personal generative AI assistant. And your generative AI assistant is going to know certain things about you that we've ascertained from your actual actions. And those actions may be watch history, documents you've created, emails you've sent. This is actually quite cool. And here's why. It knows my writing style because it looks at all the things I've ever written in Google Docs, all the things I've ever composed in responses on Gmail. Maybe if you use Google Messages or Meet or something like that, maybe it has information from that. And I don't know all the specifics around how all this data is kept or stored, but like Google's a convenience company. What I mean by that is they make money largely off of providing convenience to other people, and they make money off of your data. So they've made money forever off ads. And as we get to a point where they're even basically pushing their own ads aside and they're saying, here's this chat. And everybody questioned Google. Bard was not a widely accepted large language model. A lot of people were just basically saying this is not going to be the one. Now, if Bard has this personal AI element to it, I think it could. And so where my head's at is like a future of personalized AI assistance is actually one that I would want to be a part of, because it would just be intrinsically helpful. Like right now you go to ChatGPT and you ask it to plan a trip for you. Okay, that's cool, but it knows nothing about you. It doesn't know what you've bought. It doesn't know what you've watched. It has no insight into who you actually are as a person. But if you can use your own information as training data and you can get insights and derive training instructions from that, you're actually going to be in a much better space. And I think this is one of those things that will allow Google to compete in the next 10 to 15 years as it relates to this large language models and generative AI front. And solely because they already have the infrastructure. Like the infrastructure is through Android phones. So they have hardware that people want, whether it be Samsung or Oppo or the LG, Motorola. There's a plethora of Android phones out there, but they all commonly use one thing, and that's a Google account. So you've got already the hardware component. They make the operating system, which is Android. So Android OS, you're going to have some flavor. They've already been pushing slowly but surely towards an AI powered future. And so they also already have Assistant. So Assistant has been more general, like when I talked about Siri and Alexa, but it's also a bit personalized. Like when you go to like your Google Now page, I don't know if it's called that anymore, but like when you go to, there's a For You page that Google has. I'll show it to you really quick. That this is different for everyone. And it's cool because my page looks nothing like your page. So this is my Google page. So you can see it's got some stuff about the Dallas Mavericks. It's got the Surface stuff that we just talked about, some cars, looks like maybe some video game stuff and more. My whole point being, that's my page. That's the page that Google shares for me, and it refreshes on a constant basis every day. That's just search. SEO is going to look a lot different in 2028 if we start going down this generative AI thing. Now you're going to say the generative AI gets trained on the data that is indexed on Google. That's true. But if we start to get to a point where we're going to start locking our data away, think about the no follow laws, or not even laws, but the no follow rules that you can implement in your site metadata for the GPT bot. So you can tell it to go to your site. You can tell it not to go to your site. We're going to get to a point where the generative AI is just going to like really stop sending traffic to all our websites. And I think that like content's going to be the king here. How do you get around this? I think video content's going to be ever more important because it seems like text is just going to be a commodity. One, you can generate it very easily. Two, you probably can summarize it pretty easily too, right? So if you can generate it and summarize it and understand it with these large language models, there's like a lessened value there. And I think that I think text will make a comeback. I just don't know what that is yet. I think on the other side, when it comes to like video, because you can generate video and deepfakes, they exist. But like, there's still something about, there's no AI video that I've seen like where I'm like, oh wow, that's like very impressive. Now there's party tricks, right? You can get someone to say something or make something sound a certain way, and obviously it's gonna get better. But the presence that is captured in an actual video, I just haven't seen that yet. And I think until I get to that point, I'm still gonna say the verdict's still out on that one. So I say all this to say, generative AI and search is a topic that I am very intrigued by. It's gotten really good. And there's so much that I can't cover it all in one video. I need to actually go deeply understand what is a personal AI, because I think that there's an opportunity there. And obviously there are people that are building startups, and this is not something that just existed because OpenAI and ChatGPT and the generative AI craze. This has always been a dream. This is where sci-fi becomes reality. But we just got to the point where it's actually plausible. So with that being said, I got to keep grinding away at this road trip that I'm on. But every day I take notes on the future and I ask myself, what's the future? And I store those notes in a detailed journal. You can find that journal over at everydays.wtf. And until next time, I'll catch you in the future.